Welcome to the Thrive with OMU Podcast, where each week I'll chat with an amazing entrepreneur on their growth journey. They'll be sharing this with us to help and encourage us to take that bold step. Hello, everyone. I'm here again today with Avril Brown. She's a coach. She's called an awakening mom coach. Avril, tell us about yourself in a few sentences.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here with you. So I'm Avril. I am, like you mentioned, I'm a mum of a 9-year-old, and I now work with mums to really awaken to the truth of who they are, to heal the relationship with themselves so that it filters through into a deeper, more guilt-free connection with their kids and their partner, and also so they really awaken to the truth of who they are and they can live their life fully alive, where there's joy and nourishment and just a real sense of confidence and knowing in who they are as a woman and as a mom.
What are the most common challenges that you think that moms face?
The one biggest one is being triggered by their kids, and then being reactive. But when they get reactive, then this is mom, and respond in a way they don't particularly like, maybe yelling or getting snappy with their kids, getting grumpy. Then there's that guilt. At night they go to bed and they're feeling real guilt. So that's one of the main ones I see, is just being really, really triggered by the kids. You know, these kids that they thought they were going to have such a big depth of love and understanding for, and all of a sudden they're triggered because of their own childhood stuff is brought up, or for many reasons have been triggered. And the second biggest one is just that feeling of being totally burnt out, exhausted. There's so much to do. There's just always a never-ending to-do list. And once again, they thought the motherhood journey would be joyful. If they look around, everybody else seems to be enjoying the kids, and it's not. It just feels so draining, and there's times they away. And I suppose the last one that I see a big amount of is feeling really lost in motherhood. Who am I anymore? Who is the woman aside from being a mom, and just having no sense of identity aside from I'm just mum to this child or these children. So those would be the three main ones that I see.
And I can identify a lot of women often lose themselves and get all caught up in being a mother. They forget who they really are, really. What do you think is the reason behind it?
Behind feeling lost as a mom or lost in motherhood?
Yeah.
Or
behind that feeling lost, sometimes they feel unfulfilled. Sometimes they even feel like they are bad moms. They start blaming themselves for things and stuff like that.
I think it's very complex. I think it's definitely multifaceted. So I definitely feel there's a lot of conditioning and expectations that we go into parenting and motherhood with. There's the expectations that it's going to look a certain way, maybe based on your childhood, maybe based on societal conditioning. And we have these dreams that it's going to look a certain way, and the reality looks very different. So that can often lead to that feeling of disappointment and frustration. And why isn't it looking a certain way? I also think we can feel very lost in it, because from we're very, very little, we're conditioned to look outside of ourselves. We're conditioned to just move away from ourselves for wisdom, for answers, for our sense of self. And then I think we can, and it happens to career women as well, where you go into your career and all of a sudden you get to this point where you have the children or you have the career and you're like, but who am I? So I think from a very young age, we've been slowly disconnecting more and more and more from ourselves. And And then it hits the point where we realize that we're where we thought we wanted to be in life, but we're still not fulfilled. So we have the things on the external world, we have the children, we have the white picket fence, we have the career, we have what it was that we thought would bring us that sense of, connection to ourselves, the sense of knowing that this was what our life was about. And that sort of, we get hit with the rush of, but it's just not like that. And I have no idea who I am now. And I suppose you could call it like a midlife crisis if you want to call it, put a label on it. But I think it's really just that realization that we have been, disconnecting from ourselves for so long that we just don't know who we are anymore.
Yeah. And I find that it also plays out in different ways. Like, you see some women and they appear like they're cantankerous, but they're not really cantankerous. It's just a spill off from that feeling of frustration. And a lot of times you don't even realize they are sending signals like that. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah. And I just, it's so interesting because there are, I think also a lot of mums went into motherhood once again thinking it would look a certain way, looking around them and seeing other people with, we're surrounded by social media and stuff nowadays, looking at other people and seeing their highlights reel, coming back home and they're living the lowlights reel. And it's, there's such an imbalance between what they wanted and what they desired and what they hoped family life would look like and the reality of what it actually looks like for them. And they've just lost their joy and struggle to even think that it's possible to get it back.
Wow. So you work with these women and they go through all that transition and transformation, right?
Yeah, and it's a process because the work I do is like the deep root cause work. It's not just the surface fluffy stuff of, oh, we'll make a schedule and make you stick to it and then we'll do that. I go into the, subconscious reprogramming, childhood wounds, any trauma work that comes up. We will explore that and see, because it all filters, it all impacts who we've become. Every single thing that has happened to us impacts who we are now. And so I work with the women to peel back the layers. So yes, we do the the practical stuff because we actually have to make everyday life easier as well. But it's also about getting to the root cause. What is really being triggered there? And doing that inner child healing work to nurture the mom underneath it, to nurture the little girl inside of mom so that she can look after the children in front of her. And a big focus of my work is also nervous system regulation, because when we're really dysregulated, we fall into those old patterns more easily, and we also snap. We get irritable, we get frustrated, we get tired, we have the external manifestations of the nervous system dysregulation. So that's the foundational part of what I do with women, is get that in place so we can build a stable house on top of it.
Wow, amazing. Why did you choose this particular line of coaching? Why?
My own experience, I guess, because becoming a mom, it was a massive catalyst for healing for me, and it forced me down a healing journey that I think I'd been avoiding for over 20 years, in a way that I would never have done if I didn't have a child that I something bigger than me to heal for, and that was my child.
I like that.
Something bigger.
Yeah, I like that, something bigger than you. I like that. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm sure that the women would be getting results. So would you say that you're living your absolute best life now?
I would say that right here and right now, in the present moment, I am. Is there better to come? 100%, because we're always growing. We're always expanding. I am going to be on the journey of, bettering my life for the rest of my life. But right now, I am happier than I've ever been in my life.
Awesome. That's the, yeah. Wow. It's been amazing talking to you. What few points would you want to leave our guests with?
I would love to leave them with, firstly, you are not broken and there is nothing wrong with you. So if you're snapping at your kids, if you're irritable, if you're grumpy, there's nothing wrong with you. There's an underneath core reason, and we want to get at that, but it's not because there's something wrong with you. The second one would be, it starts with you. It really does start with you as mom. And it doesn't mean that you're solely responsible for everything, but as moms, we are leaders in our family. And how do you want to lead? It really does start with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, those are very wise words. Thank you so much, Avril.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, people, you want to watch this on our YouTube channel or download the from the podcast. See you next week. I'm out. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Thrive with OMU Podcast. This is your host, OMU Obilo.